Friday, 10:58 p.m. It was drizzling. The hallway lights at the Ellington residences reflected off the damp tile floor. Everything was quiet, except for the sound of Layla Monroe's suitcase wheels rolling over the stone. She had just gotten back from New Orleans after a 3-day medical conference. Layla worked as a clinical nursing instructor at a local university, teaching hands-on patient care. She loved her job. But after 3 straight days of lecturing, 2 connecting flights, and a 2-hour airport delay, her body was about ready to shut down. She held a small gift box in one arm, some souvenirs she'd picked up for her students. The other hand gripped the suitcase handle. Her left shoulder ached from carrying a heavy backpack the whole trip. Apartment 903, 9th floor. She'd lived there nearly a decade. Just a few more steps, and she'd be home. She pictured her cozy living room, the soft yellow floor lamp, her worn-out cotton pajamas, a cup of herbal tea. But then, a voice cut through her thoughts, cold, sharp, like paper slicing skin. "Where are you going?" Layla stopped, turned around. Standing there was a white woman, probably in her 40s, hair pulled into a tight blonde bun. Her face was fully made up, dressed in a cream sweater and a light scarf, the kind of woman who paid too much attention to everything. The woman looked her up and down, her damp sneakers, her tired face. "I said, where are you going?" Layla exhaled, voice even. "I'm heading to my apartment." The woman squinted. "Which one?" 903. "I've never seen you here before." Layla kept her cool. "I've lived here since 2015. Maybe you're new and just haven't seen me around." The woman hesitated for a second, then gave a thin, tight-lipped smile. "Karen Whitmore. I just moved into 710. Been here 6 weeks." Layla nodded slightly, tightening her grip on the suitcase handle. "Well, you probably just haven't met the longtime residents yet. This building used to be really peaceful." Karen didn't move. She gave the leash on her little Pomeranian a slight tug. The dog stood close to her feet, staring at Layla, then gave one short bark, perfectly matching the owner's energy. Uneasy, suspicious, controlling. Layla turned and started walking again toward her unit, but she could feel the woman's stare burning into her back like an unspoken accusation. "You're holding something, aren't you?" Karen's voice came again, not loud, not aggressive, but sharp enough to make Layla freeze in her tracks. She turned slowly. The same box she'd clutched in the elevator was still in her arms, a simple brown cardboard box with a few small gifts inside, a handmade keychain set, some notebooks that said, "You matter," and a pen shaped like a syringe, something her students always found fun. "The box." Karen motioned with her chin. "You sure that's not someone else's package?" Layla blinked, took a breath. Her voice came out low and slightly hoarse. "It's mine. I brought it back from my trip." Karen gave a little smirk. Not a friendly one. "Just asking. We've had a few packages go missing around here. Couple Amazon boxes disappeared right from the lobby." Layla nodded lightly, bit her bottom lip. "I wouldn't know. I didn't take anything. I've lived here almost 10 years. But Karen wasn't done. Her eyes dropped to the box, then the suitcase, then drifted up to the backpack on Layla's shoulders. "Could you show me some ID?" Layla froze. She didn't lose her calm, but something inside her started to chip away. "Number, I don't owe you my ID. I'm not a criminal." Karen shrugged, voice slow and steady. "I'm just trying to keep the building safe. You know how sneaky people can be when they're not supposed to be here." Layla locked eyes with her, not with anger, but with tiredness. the kind of tired that comes from having this same conversation too many times in one lifetime. I live here. I've lived here since before they redid the carpets. I knew the old doorman before you even learned the building's name. And if you think I'm the stranger here, maybe the thing that isn't safe is your mindset. Karen blinked. The dog barked once, as if on cue. Layla turned back around and kept walking. She tried to ignore the sharp clacking of heels behind her. Karen was following her, all the way to her apartment door. She started digging through her bag for her keys, her fingers freezing from the night air and the knot of anger building in her chest. She checked every pocket of her backpack, then pulled her suitcase closer to unzip the side pocket. Karen stood just a few steps away, eyes glued to every move Layla made. "I'm sorry," Karen said, "but you're acting really suspicious." "Suspicious?" Layla let out a short laugh, part disbelief, part exhaustion. "I just got off work. I've got a suitcase. I'm trying to go home. And that's what you call suspicious?" "I'm not trying to be racist," Karen said quickly. "I'm just being cautious." "You don't need to say black to be racist," Layla muttered. "Sometimes it starts with just a look, like the one you're giving me." Finally, she found the keys. Her fingers were shaking, part from the cold, part from pure frustration. As soon as she turned the lock and heard the soft click, she caught Karen mumbling behind her, "Maybe I should call 911." Layla didn't look back. She opened the door, pushed her suitcase inside, and turned to give Karen one last look. "I didn't take anything, and I don't need your permission to live here." Then she stepped inside and slammed the door shut. 11:12 p.m. Layla locked the door, latched the deadbolt, and sank to the floor just behind it. She hugged her knees, breathing deep, not because she was tired, but because she was trying to hold in the rage bubbling up in her chest. She shouldn't have to deal with this. Not after a long trip. Not when she was just trying to get home. Not again. Apartment 903 still looked the same. Warm, neat, peaceful. But tonight, it didn't feel like home. Not really. She got up, walked straight to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of cold water, trying to stay calm. Her hands were still shaking. Not from the temperature, but from the weight of it all. The kind of shaking that came from memory, from how familiar this moment was. "You don't live here." "What's in the box?" "Let me see your ID." Those words kept repeating in her head, like a hammer hitting the same spot over and over. And the worst part, it didn't even shock her anymore. It just wore her out. As she set the glass down, she heard something. Faint voices echoing through the hallway. Karen's voice. The apartment had decent soundproofing, but not enough to block out someone calling from just outside. "Yes, I'm on the 9th floor of the Ellington. There's a black woman here. I don't think she lives here. She's carrying a suitcase and a box. Looks suspicious." Layla froze. She stepped closer to the door, pressing her ear gently against it. "She says she lives in 903, but I've never seen her. She might have stolen someone's package or broken in. I saw her digging in her bag like she was trying to pick the lock. You should send someone right away. She's not cooperating." Layla closed her eyes. A tear slipped out. She didn't have to open the door to know Karen was still standing out there, on the phone with 911, watching, waiting. The building had modern security, cameras in every hallway, in the elevators, at the front entrance. But she knew all too well. Bias doesn't wait for facts. It acts the second it sees a color that doesn't look right. Layla picked up her phone and opened the building's resident portal. Tenants could access hallway footage from the past 24 hours. She rewound about 20 minutes. There she was on camera, stepping off the elevator with her suitcase and the gift box, moving slowly, clearly exhausted, walking toward her door. Just a few seconds behind her, Karen and her little dog, stepping out of Unit 710. Karen watching her, standing still, then following, then pausing to make a call, clearly caught on camera. Layla stared at the screen. For a moment, she considered saving the clip and sending it to building management, right then, right in the moment. But something stopped her. She didn't want to waste one more second trying to prove she wasn't guilty. 11:39 p.m. A faint siren howled in the distance, quiet, but enough to make her shiver. She turned off the living room lights, leaving only the warm glow from a single table lamp. 3 minutes later, someone pounded on the door. Bam! 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 Police! Open up! Layla stood right at the door, gripping her phone tight. I live here. The door's locked, but I have ID. I can slide it under. A voice on the other side responded, Ma'am, we need you to step out so we can confirm. Someone reported suspicious activity. Layla tightened her jaw. Her chest felt like it was caving in. I'm not coming out. I've been followed. I've been accused for no reason, because I'm black. I'm scared. This is my home. I've lived here almost 10 years, and I haven't done anything wrong. Silence. Then the voice came again, softer this time. Ma'am, if you could just slide your ID under the door, we'll check. Layla pushed her driver's license and resident keycard under the door. She could hear murmuring. Someone reading her name aloud. Layla Monroe, Unit 903. Another voice added, matches the address. She's listed. Official resident. Layla leaned her head against the door. Her heart was still racing, but she was hoping. Maybe this was the end of it. But then, a voice she knew too well piped up from outside. You don't get it. She doesn't really live here. Black people don't live in this building. I bet she stole someone's ID. Layla's mouth dropped open. She had never heard anything that hateful, said out loud, with that much certainty. Her hands started shaking. Her back went cold. Her whole body flooded with adrenaline. She gripped her phone, switched on the front-facing camera, and looked directly at herself. Layla Monroe, 35, nursing instructor, resident of apartment 903 since 2015. I am inside my own home, and there are cops outside my door because a white woman decided I didn't look like I belonged. She hit save. Her hands trembled, but her voice stayed steady. She knew if this went any further, she wasn't staying silent. Layla stood by the door, her ear pressed gently against the wood. Her left hand held her phone. Her right hand gripped her elbow, which was shaking. She had already shown her ID, already confirmed who she was. She was inside her own home, but somehow, that still wasn't enough. A minute passed. Then she heard the sound of a key sliding into the lock. The door handle turned. Layla jumped back. Wait, do they even have the right to come in? I never gave them permission. Before she could say anything, the door swung open. Hard. 2 officers stepped in, one younger, eyes uncertain, the other older, face flushed red, eyes cold as stone, the kind of look that had already decided she was guilty. Hands up, step outside, now. Layla instinctively backed up, hands half raised. I don't understand. I gave you my ID. I live here. How did you get into my apartment without a warrant? The older cop, his badge read Bennett, didn't respond. He walked straight toward her. You're interfering with law enforcement by refusing to comply. Step outside. Layla took another step back, voice trembling but controlled. I'm not interfering. I'm protecting myself. I'm the one being targeted here. You're obstructing a police investigation. Then, without warning, Bennett grabbed her left arm and yanked her around. Ah, don't! My shoulder! Layla cried out in pain. She tried to pull away, but his grip was like a vice. She felt a sharp pop in her shoulder, followed by a lightning bolt of pain shooting from her neck down her back. Stop! She screamed. I didn't do anything! You're violating my rights! Her shouting echoed through the hallway. Doors started opening. Neighbors peeked out. Phones started recording. A man from 901 yelled, She lives here. She hasn't done anything wrong. Then, a woman's voice rang out. Steady, powerful, and loud enough to cut through everything. Get your hands off her. Right now. Everyone turned toward the end of the hallway. A white woman with silver hair and sharp eyes stepped forward, walking with purpose. She wore glasses, a slightly wrinkled blazer thrown over a nightgown. I'm Carla Reeds, she said. I'm a retired civil rights attorney. I live on the 10th floor, and unless you have a signed warrant from a judge, you have no right to lay hands on her. Let her go. Rodriguez, the younger officer, paused. Bennett held tight to Layla's arm, his eyes darting. Carla didn't stop. Her voice was clear and deliberate, like she was reading straight from a courtroom transcript. Under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, citizens are protected from unlawful searches and seizures. She showed you ID. The security footage backs her up. Witnesses confirm she lives here. This is her apartment. If you continue to restrain her, you are committing a serious offense. I repeat, this violates Section 242 of the U.S. Code, deprivation of rights under color of law. She locked eyes with Bennett. If she's injured, which, judging by her screaming, could be a dislocated shoulder or torn ligament, you, Officer Bennett, are personally liable, civilly and criminally. Rodriguez leaned toward Bennett and whispered, Let go. Now. Bennett clenched his jaw, his face still red, but slowly he released her arm. Layla staggered back, clutching her shoulder, which had started to swell. She nearly collapsed, but a neighbor caught her just in time. More people gathered. Someone handed her a cold cloth. Others checked on her. Phones were still rolling. Carla knelt down next to her. I'm here, she said calmly. They can't touch you anymore. No one has the right to treat an innocent person like that, especially not in her own home. Layla couldn't speak. She just nodded, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. Then Carla stood up, looked straight at the two officers. Leave, now. And you'd better hope you have a very good attorney, because on Monday morning, I'm filing a lawsuit with the city, and I know exactly whose desk it's going on. Neither officer said a word. They turned and left. The door closed behind them. Layla sat in the middle of her living room, shoulder throbbing, mind racing, overwhelmed, but deeply, deeply grateful. Tonight, for the first time, she didn't feel invisible. She didn't feel alone. And she knew. Sometimes, justice starts with just one person saying, That's enough. Monday, 9:03 a.m. Layla Monroe walked into a civil rights attorney's office in downtown Columbus. Her left arm was in a sling, her shoulder still swollen. Every step she took, every breath she drew, it all brought back the pain from Friday night. But Layla wasn't there to complain. She came to do something that thousands of people of color in America never get the chance to do. Walk in, head held high, and demand justice. Both officers, Bennett and Rodriguez, were being officially reported for violating the color of law statute, U.S. Code Section 242. abusing their power to illegally take away someone's freedom. Layla also filed a formal complaint with the Columbus Police Department, asking for a full investigation into the unlawful entry and use of force, done without a warrant. At the same time, Carla Reed submitted a legal request for the release of all building security footage, clear evidence that Layla had come home lawfully, done nothing suspicious, and had been followed and accused for no reason. Tuesday morning, Layla got an email from the Ellington's management office. We formally confirm that resident Karen Whitmore, Unit 710, has violated Clause 4.1 of her lease agreement regarding behavior that causes harm, threatens, or harasses fellow residents. Ms. Whitmore has 10 days to vacate the premises. They included an apology. On behalf of building management, we sincerely regret the experience Ms. Layla endured. We are reviewing our emergency response policies to ensure the safety and equality of all residents. Layla read that last line. Ensure equality. Over and over again. It sounded good. But after everything, those words felt too late. 1 month later, the preliminary hearing. The courtroom wasn't large, but the air felt heavy. Everyone could feel the weight of what had happened. Carla Reed took the stand as a witness. She spoke clearly, with precision, breaking it down, violation by violation. The officers had no warrant. Layla provided valid ID. There was no legal reason to enter her apartment. Forcibly grabbing her, dislocating her shoulder, causing emotional trauma, this was an abuse of power and a violation of the Constitution. The city's lawyers tried to argue that the officers were just responding to a resident's report. But the hallway footage, showing Layla walking calmly, Karen tailing her, and officers entering without permission, shut that down completely. The judge was a black woman. Her voice was calm but firm as she read her decision. Ms. Monroe didn't need anyone's permission to return to her own home. A resident's call does not justify forced entry without probable cause or a court order. Once ID is confirmed and a witness verifies residence, continued police presence is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. This court will move forward with the civil case, and I strongly urge the Columbus Police Department to conduct a serious internal review of both officers' conduct. Layla sat silently, hands gripping the edge of her dress. She didn't smile. She didn't cheer. She just closed her eyes for the first time in weeks and let herself finally breathe. 1 week later, Layla got the official update. The city would cover all medical costs related to her shoulder and wrist injuries. She'd receive a $20,000 settlement for emotional distress and violation of her rights. Both officers were suspended without pay and placed under high-level internal investigation. Karen Whitmore moved out exactly 10 days later. Not a single word of apology. And Layla? She still lives in apartment 903. She didn't move. She didn't hide. She didn't shrink back. Instead, she installed a doorbell camera, put a small nameplate on her door, and added a new photo frame to her desk. A picture of her smiling beside Carla Reed's, the woman who stepped off that elevator like a beam of light. I did everything right and still got treated like I didn't belong. But that night, someone stood up for me. The law stood with me. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt seen as a human being. Layla's story isn't rare. It's one of thousands happening every day. Quiet, painful, and too often ignored. But here, we won't let them be buried in silence. If you've ever been mistreated, followed, or judged just for being yourself, tell your story. Drop it in the comments or send it to hdahumanright@gmail.com. I'll read every word, listen to every voice, and share your truth. Because sometimes one story told at the right time can change everything. Subscribe and share this video because justice doesn't happen without people who speak up. You are not alone, and your voice matters.